Sure, Thrag, you can stay, I guess, but if you're gonna stay on Paul's planet, I think I'd ask him first. Just like that, Invincible Season 4 is come and gone, and for the most part, it was another solid season. I don't think the show will ever get to the level it was in Season 1 because so much of it was built around the mystery and intrigue with Omni Man, but damn, it's getting pretty close. The team behind Invincible has mostly found their stride with how much of the comic to adapt in a season, what to change, or dialogue to add, and how to pad that all out so the momentum carries from episode to episode. It would be great if the, you know, animation could live up to the quality of the story, but I'll save that for later in the video. The show did a great job picking right back up where season 3 left, quickly giving each character an interesting path for the season and then using the whole war as a framing device to expand on each character. Some big plot points have been set up, like Dinosaurus being introduced and Robot and Monster Girl getting trapped in the Flaxen dimension. I'm honestly surprised we didn't get any hints towards how they'll continue either plot point next season, like a post-credit scene showing Robot and Monster Girl and what they're going through, but honestly, it just makes me more excited for how much we'll actually get in season 5. Plus, the tease with Alan and the Scourge virus is huge too, planting the idea that it could wipe out not only the Viltrumites but all of Earth. It's pretty big stakes.
A steak! Yes.
Aside from episode 4, I think as a whole, this is a really strong season of Invincible, continuing to develop Mark by putting him through the worst situations possible. Unlike another Amazon series I know, Invincible does a great job with its characters, letting them change season to season after what they go through, which keeps me so much more invested in this kind of ever evolving cast. This season, there was a huge emphasis on characters and their choices, and the consequences that come with them, whether it be on a personal or planetary level. Robot and Monster Girl are trapped in Flaxa. Mark almost kills Dinosaurus and then kills Russ. Conquest escapes because Cecil chose to keep him alive, and then almost kills Mark. Thetis kills Argol, and the Scourge virus he creates wipes out billions of Viltrumites. Nolan brings his sons into a war, almost getting both of them killed, and then makes the call to destroy Viltrum, pushing the Viltrumites to come to Earth. Most of these choices are really interesting to compare morally, what's right and wrong, and usually always result in something even worse happening. I love how they handled Mark's decision to kill Russ, slowly building to it, how making that kind of call can affect him, and if it was even for the greater good, then expanding on that kind of decision and mindset with the Viltrumite War. Mark deciding to kill Russ because the Sequids would never stop coming is exactly how Thetis and eventually Nolan feel about the Viltrumites. Setting up the idea of an Invincible who is willing to kill if he has to, how scary someone with that strength can be, and then putting him against an enemy like Thrag, who Mark and the others feel they need to kill at all costs, but can't, is such good writing, especially with where Thrag and the Viltrumites end up by the end of the season. Stephen Yun also kills it again as Mark, as usual, with the performance that goes all over the place through the whole season. The screams and gasping during the Conquest rematch? Jesus Christ, man, what were they doing to him in the recording booth? This season that's built all around difficult decisions opens up and ends with Mark making incredibly hard decisions for the sake of the planet. At first, emphasizing the weight of that choice, whether one choice is wrong, one choice is right, only for it to end with the option of choice being completely removed by Thrag. Absolute cinema. Also, besides Thrag, Krieg was the most angry about Viltrum being destroyed, but Bro does not seem too bothered after discovering motorcycles and Newports. But then there's Thrag. Easily the most hyped up part of this season, he slowly built into the antagonist we've been waiting for. People had him on Fraud Watch after he fled Telescria, but the show was purposely downplaying him so much so that episodes 7 and 8 hit that much harder. Oliver even has some dialogue about Thrag not living up to the hype, so they're clearly stringing us along the whole time. And Lee Pace was pretty great. He delivered a solid performance, being calm and collected at one moment, then screaming with anger and devotion in another. He's easily the most compelling villain we've gotten so far. Of course, he's stronger and scarier than the others, but his conviction is what's most interesting. The kind of leader he became because of everything he lost, what he puts his own people through because of his pain, pulling the weak from his society, but then how that itself eventually evolves into him sparing Mark and Nolan because of how many have been lost. Thrag is so much more than a villain. God, I can't wait for what's to come with him, especially with the Battle Beast fight. Because of so much of the season being set off Earth, we really don't get a ton of Eve, but damn, man, that does not mean she doesn't get it rough this season. With Mark off Earth at war for so long, not knowing whether or not he'll even ever come back is already hard enough on her, but the burden of dealing with her pregnancy on top of that is insane to go through alone. It's an upsetting plot point, one that I'm sure is going to have reactions all over the place, but I think they handled it pretty well. It's a realistic conversation, one that's not easy for either Mark or Eve, but how they handle it shows how far they've come as a pair and what they'll have to deal with going forward. Like a lot of characters this season, Eve had an impossible decision to make. Granted, one that's way more based in reality, but one that still will have huge emotional consequences going forward. And all that goes without mentioning the performances from Gillian Jacobs and Stephen Yun. It was heartbreaking stuff, man. This show just never lets up and always gets to these certain points from the comic where I'm like, are they going to adapt this? There's no way they're going to adapt. Nope. And they always do. Which means the Anissa stuff, that's coming. But by far, the strongest part of the season to me was Nolan. The show is at its strongest when he's part of the main cast, with the dynamic between him and his sons, and now even Alan as a friend. The show does a surprisingly great job handling his redemption and how he goes back on his Viltrumite views. It happens gradually throughout the season, starting with his regret to build up in season 2, up to now, him apologizing to those he's hurt and actively trying to make up for it. For seasons, years now, we've been waiting for Nolan and Debbie to reunite, and they handled it perfectly. The writers have always done a great job with Debbie, giving her so much more agency than she had in the comics, making her an actual character in the show. But their reunion before the war is probably the best change they've made. Omni Man knows and acknowledges what he's doing is selfish by even showing up to see her and trying to apologize. And even though he is being genuine, his apology doesn't exactly land, and Debbie gets to get everything off her chest after so long. Their dialogue is so much better than the comics, and I love that even by the end of this season, things still haven't been fleshed out. It is still very complicated between these two. I'm sure they'll eventually get back together at some point now that she's left Earth with him, which of course I'd love to see both of them happy. I just really enjoy the slow, nuanced way they're approaching it, building up both characters so when they get back together, it feels so much more earned rather than Omni Man saying, "Hey, yo, I'm sorry. I'll never leave you again. Come to space with me." They really wasted no time this season except for that episode. After the post-credit scene from the season 3 finale, knowing that Kirkman was trying to add in a Invincible goes to hell plotline that was cut from the comics sounds pretty sweet. Sounds pretty cool. I love me some Damien Darkblood. Robert Kirkman, you can keep it, bro. We're good. We have Thrag. We're good. But like I mentioned at the top, my biggest negative, for as much as I love this season, I just have to say it. The animation is not great. At points, it's really bad, even. I know that's the most obvious criticism of the show since it started, but for some reason, this season, it was way more jarring for me than the last three. Yes, I would rather have a season every year than one like every 3 years, and I completely understand the crunch that these animators are on. They're doing the most with what they can. But damn, dude, sometimes the show feels like a PowerPoint slideshow. I'm not going to sit here and say that the show should have the same level of detail that the comic has, but come on, man. Don't just drag a PNG of a character flying to make it look like they're flying. It takes me out of it, especially like I said, characters flying, all the characters going to Viltrum to end the war. They just look like they're all being dragged across a still frame together. Oh, it's so bad. There's so many moments this season of still frames while another character is speaking from off screen, or frozen reactions to something happening off screen, or an entire fight happening off screen. You get the point. A little bit of lighting adds so much. They always go all out with the scenes in the finale, like with Thrag and Mark having that conversation in the clouds. the lighting is added there. Do that the whole season. I don't understand how bad of a crunch are they on? Especially this season where a lot of battles and major scenes happen in space where everyone communicates through their thoughts. No mouth movement, no backgrounds or environments for characters to interact with or crash into during fights. It just comes off as so cheap. I love this show so much. The story is so good, but it deserves better. Season 5 is set for the same release date next year, though, so while I am still excited, I don't think the PNG dragging is going anywhere anytime soon. If you watched Invincible Season 4, let me know what you thought in the comments. What was your guys' favorite part of this season? Thanks for clicking on this video and checking it out, and watching to this point if you have. You should totally subscribe and like the video if you watched all this way. You're already here. You stayed this whole time. I'm hoping to get back into a regular schedule. Probably going to do Monday uploads, mostly movie stuff, but with Daredevil, Invincible, and The Boys going on, definitely going to be talking a lot about that this month. So if you like this video, be sure to stick around for something like that coming soon. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe, please. Do a boy a solid.